Lives of Vacay is an international living, business, and travel lifestyle podcast and blog highlighting how to unapologetically live and work doing what you love and loving it. Other people will tell you to be responsible, play it safe, and wait for the right moments in life. However, successful people who take inspired action and make dreams a reality disagree. Join author, lifestyle consultant, mother after 40, and dream chaser Cha Jones each week. She interviews ordinary people who sought extraordinary opportunities and created a life of vacay. If you are tired of waiting for life to happen, need help making your dreams a reality, need inspiration, or want a life of leisure, this show is for you. Catch her. She has something great to tell you. Welcome to another episode of Life's a Vacay podcast, a weekly podcast series that focuses on living a life without limitations. I'm your host, Cha Jones, and I'm a life coach, motivational speaker, intercultural consultant, and now you can add podcaster to the list. I've traveled to over 45 states in 25 countries, and I absolutely love helping people. And you know it, I love to travel. Today, I'm starting something a little new. It's called Fly Chat. I want to talk about the pivot. So come on with me. Let's get started. Usually I'm interviewing someone, but I thought I would mix it up and go solo once a week. So now I have a weekly solo episode called Fly Chat. This episode would be a short monologue about topics related to traveling, living abroad, motivation, and business. This week I want to talk about the pivot. It's life, and you can guarantee that you will have a pivot or two. In many cases, you won't even have a choice and you will be forced to make a pivot. For example, let's say you're in love. You have this great relationship. It's going well until it's not. You break up. Or how about you're in love? You get married. You have some children. You have this wonderful life. And then all of a sudden, the other person isn't that interested or they've decided to do something differently. Let's say that you have a perfect job. It's going well. You see this? It's going well. And all of a sudden, you're laid off. Or you had this perfect job. You decided that it's not a good fit, but you're fired or whatever the scenario is, right? The point is, stuff happens. Then you have to make a choice. Who believe that they can foresee all the things that happen. They stick to crisis management, which is perfectly fine. That's an aspect of being prepared. Now, you cannot think of everything that could go wrong. Why? Because you don't know what you don't know. You have blind spots. With that being said, the time for pivot comes when planning meets reality and they simply disagree. In those moments when what you foresaw happening and what is happening are vastly different, it's time to make another choice. Pivot time. Change is inevitable in real life, that is. If you don't change or are unwilling to do so, you'll get left or worse, stuck. So many people get stuck because they do not know how to pivot in these real life moments. Pivoting is an important life strategy for people who want to live. The emphasis is on live, meaning actively being alive. So that means being in motion. Those choosing to show up and participate in life. You get stuck. You start to replay. And I like to look at it like life lessons. And when you don't pass the test, what do? You retake it, and you retake it, and you retake it until you get it right. So in life, same scenario. You start taking tests over and over again until you learn to pivot and go with the flow. And oftentimes that's what is required to keep the momentum going. Now, we all know people who are not active participants in their lives. They exist, and we don't want to talk about them today. But instead, I want to talk about what happens when you fail to pivot and keep moving forward. So many people contact me when they are thinking about moving or starting a life abroad. They often want to ask a bunch of questions, and I understand wanting to be prepared. However, I'll say today what I always say. And that is, my answer is this. My answers won't help you because I'm not you. See, the thing is, when you venture out on your journey, it's yours. Own it. Those are your solutions. But if you venture out on my solutions, you're going to run into a bunch of problems. See, oftentimes people ask questions and they want to get clarity. They try to think about all the things that could happen, and they want to create a plan around that. I get that. That's perfectly fine. However, what I'm going to do is going to be totally different than what you're going to do. My life plan is totally different than your life plan. So in those moments, you have to be willing to create the plan as you so see fit. And so what I think I oftentimes want to tell people is just do it. And I know like people like to be prepared, and I do. I like to be prepared. But again, you can't think of everything, and you don't know what you don't know. There are some things that you can control. There are some things that you just simply cannot. But it's when you try to control everything, you can't live because there are so many things that are moving at a different rate than you're moving, and you can't grasp the hold to them. So I often tell people just live. And when you start to live, you stop planning everything because, again, you can't control everything. And what I really realized is that there are so many control freaks out there, me being one of them. I like having certain things in my control. But a life worth living, you don't control everything, right? You just kind of live and let it happen, go with the flow, and obviously be a responsible person, but in the same time kind of just let go and live in those moments, right? So as the universe would have it, shit happens, right? And oftentimes people aren't really willing to take responsibility when stuff happens. Now, oftentimes those things happen when they're out of your control. And so the pivoting comes in when you make a choice to do something different. You actively see what's going on and you actively start participating and say, okay, I don't like this result, so I'm going to do this. And then that may not happen like you so thought it was going to happen. So then you pivot a little more. Pivots are just changes, and nothing's perfect. Thing is, this is the first time any of us have lived this particular life. So we do not know what is next. None of us do. I don't care if you go get your palms read. I don't care if you go to the best psychic. I don't care if you do numerology. And I'm into all of that. I'm for it. But even with that being said, none of that can predict the future of every sequence of things that are to come in your life. Here's my advice: don't get fixated on the plan. That should be your blueprint, what you want as a desired result. Flexible and agile. That's what you want to be, flexible and agile. And then allow things to happen. Allow things to come forward. Allow things to change. Go with the flow. Oftentimes people get so fixated on, well, that was not part of the plan for you. It was not part of the plan for you. The universe saw something different. The universe knew what the next connectivity point would be, but you're stuck on what you can see. And a lot of times, everything is happening in the unforeseen part, the part that's invisible to you in your naked eye. So you have to just let go. And there's a saying, let go and let God, because you don't control anything. As a matter of fact, we control less than we really think we do. So just let go. Allow life the opportunity to autocorrect and shift you in the direction that is most likely the best outcome for you. You can think of your plan like a template. See, templates are meant to be changed to fit your personal circumstances, and you must add, you must take away until you have the perfect situation for you. However, sometimes this is what it looks like. You have this template, you have this itinerary, you have this plan. I'm about to go move to XYZ country, and you get to moving, you start making these plans. The first leg of the plan goes well, you're rolling. And then something happens, that unforeseen aspect of this plan. And you don't know what to do because that's not part of the plan. Those who can pivot and alter the situation by making choices that redirect their next steps, those people will be okay. It's the people who get stuck. Well, this wasn't the plan. I didn't know this was going to happen. I wasn't prepared for this. And then they sit down and they start to soak. Okay, nobody knows. It's about being active and participating in the life that you are living. So, with that, when those things happen, things occur, you have to be ready to pivot. So, for instance, if you're driving down the street, you hit this big hole, now you have a torn tire. So, you pull over, try to get to the side, pull to the side. Now, you have to think about how to fix that tire, right? Oftentimes, one is going to go to the trunk, you're going to pop the trunk, you're going to pull out your jack, and you're going to pull out the spare tire, and you are going to change the tire. Now, I don't know how to change tires. I don't know how to do that. What am I do? All right. If you're in one of those countries where AAA is there, you're gonna call AAA or some type of service line. Or you know what? You're gonna start raising your hand. Be like, hey, I need help. And eventually either someone's gonna stop, help you, or you're going to figure out something. Now, in the event you do none of that, right? Because that's a choice too, right? Doing nothing's a choice. If you choose to sit on the side of the road looking crazy and doing absolutely nothing, then you're also going to get a result. And that result is what? Nothing. Nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna sit on the side of the road looking crazy. So the pivot here is to get out the car and be like, okay, number one, I can change the tire. So then you proceed to changing the tire. Or number two, I don't know how to do this. It's not my ministry. I don't change tires. I don't even know the first thing about changing tires. So I'm going to hail somebody down and ask for assistance. And maybe that person has a jack. Maybe that person doesn't. Maybe that person has a phone they can call. Maybe your phone is not working. Or maybe you picked up your phone and you proceeded to call somebody who can help you. Either way it goes, you're now actively participating. You're not sitting in the car thinking, oh my God, I didn't need to do this today. Because I don't know what day you need to have a tire blow. I don't know what day that is. So whatever happens, my point to you is Things happen in your life that you have no control of. That was not part of the plan. If you were driving down the street, I'm thinking you are anticipating you're going to go from point A to point B, or to point B to point C without any kind of confusion. However, this was that day that you did not get to point B without the confusion. You had a blown tire. So you need to be able to adjust and move, shift, vacillate, go with the flow because otherwise you're not going to get too far. So, just like anything else in life, you need to have plans, but when that plan doesn't go as you anticipated it would, then you need to be able to shift, go with the flow. Don't get stuck with your templates. And templates really are just for you to see, okay, this is how it could happen. Now, I'm gonna add a little here. I'm gonna take a little here. I'm gonna, put a little color here, and I'm gonna create or recreate. And that's what you need to be willing to do with life. So when you learn to pivot, I like to think of saying, delay but not denied. See, your plans may shift, and things you wanted to happen may not. Sometimes they don't happen at all, and sometimes not as you visioned, or they might be delayed. Either way, when you learn to pivot and open yourself up to new outcomes, you become an active participant in life. You let go of control, you let go and learn to allow and go with the flow. And then things evolve. Allowing is when the magic happens. You can pivot as many times as necessary until it is a right fit for you. Not for someone else, but for you. And that, my friends, is how you get unstuck. For those who are listening to Life's the Vacay podcast for the very first time, I want to say this. I have done a lot of things in my life. I got the courage to learn different things and move through life when I had unforeseen circumstances hit me, whether it be ailments, whether it was a loss of job, whether it was a contract that ended, whether it was a client that left, whatever the situation may have been, I had to learn to pivot. And so I don't believe that you can live a life of vacay. And when I say live a life of vacay, for those of you who have never listened or for those who just need a reminder, life of vacay is not necessarily having a party every day and your life is this perfect life and you're sitting on the beach drinking pina coladas all day long. Now, if that is your life, that's great. But oftentimes, the perfect life does not exist. You have to create what perfect is and constantly be a creator in recreating perfect, however that may mean for you. So, life's a vacay, whether you're working a 9 to 5 job that you absolutely love, that provides you with the life and a lifestyle that you desire, or whether you are an entrepreneur, you're grinding, doing what you love, stepping out the box, and you have the opportunity to create on your own terms. Life's a vacay is really about living your life on your own terms, doing what it is that you so desire to do. And you can do that through having a conventional job, or it could be a non-conventional job. It could be that you are a consultant and you're constantly recreating and finding ways to make your living work for you. Okay, so that's what life's a vacay is. Now, in the pivot part, there's always going to be a pivot. There's always going to be a shift. There's always going to be a change. And you have to be willing to do what is necessary to move forward to get you from point A to the next point, point B, right? And so I don't want people to assume that living a life of vacay is easy, because it's not. Living a life of vacay is fabulous because it's not always fabulous. It's really about being able to show up as your authentic self, do what it is that you desire to do, and make the choices because you're an active participant in your life. Make the choices that are necessary for you to continue to live the life that number one, you deserve, and number two, that you desire, and number three, that is for you. It's not based on somebody else's blueprint. It's not based on somebody else's thoughts. It's not based on what somebody else did. Because if you go do everything that somebody else did to secure the life that they desire, you'll be living their life. So, with that being said, I I hope that this episode gave you a different perspective about pivoting and how to accept the pivot, because sometimes the pivot comes at the most inopportune time, and oftentimes we're not prepared for what comes. But you don't always have to be prepared. You just have to be ready to create a change and then move forward and be an active participant in your life. I am your host. I'm Cha Jones. And if you like this show, please subscribe, share, donate, and keep this thing going. Until next time, remember, always find time to live and express your own freedom. You have been listening to Life's a Vacay podcast. Thank you for tuning in today. Every day you have a choice, so choose yourself and never allow your circumstances to dictate the life you live. Whatever you don't like, you can change. Remember, nothing happens overnight, but know that when you set goals and take inspired action, whatever you desire can come in perfect timing. Never give up on creating the life you deserve. Don't anticipate your next vacation when you could be living a whole life on vacation. Until next time, I'm your host, Cha Jones. Please remember to like and share this podcast so that others can be inspired. Peace.